Looking for effortless style without the designer price tag? Discover your new favorite looks at shockshop.us. From chic everyday essentials to statement pieces that turn heads, ShockShop brings you trend-forward women's fashion designed to fit your life and your budget. Whether you're dressing for brunch, the office, date night, or a weekend getaway, we've got styles that move with you and make you feel confident. Fresh drops, flattering fits, fast shipping. Upgrade your wardrobe today at shockshop.us, where comfort meets confidence and style is always in season. Shop now and shine your way.
Europe braces for another round of trade turbulence as Trump escalates tariff fight. European leaders are once again confronting a familiar reality: uncertainty in Washington. After months of negotiations aimed at tempering President Donald Trump's sweeping trade agenda, U.S. allies across Europe reacted with concern Saturday when Trump announced he would raise a newly imposed universal tariff from 10% to 15%, just one day after unveiling the original rate. The move followed a Supreme Court decision Friday that struck down most of Trump's earlier country-specific tariffs, prompting the president to pivot toward a blanket duty on foreign imports. In a Truth Social post, Trump said he would immediately increase the universal tariff to what he described as a fully allowed, legally tested 15% level. He argued that numerous countries had taken advantage of the United States for decades and framed the new rate as corrective action. For European governments, the abrupt shift reinforced a sense of déjà vu. European leaders warn of economic poison. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz cautioned that constant tariff adjustments risk undermining economic stability on both sides of the Atlantic. The greatest toxin for European and American economies is the constant uncertainty around tariffs, Merz said before Trump's 15% announcement. He pledged to travel to Washington with a unified European position, stressing the need for predictability in global trade. French President Emmanuel Macron struck a similar tone, emphasizing that trade fairness must be grounded in reciprocity rather than unilateral decisions. While Macron indicated France would carefully assess the consequences of Washington's latest move, he also signaled an interest in easing tensions where possible. "If it helps to calm the situation, that is positive," Macron said, adding that modernization of the French economy would continue regardless of external pressures. France's Trade Minister Nicolas Forestier suggested the European Union retains significant leverage should it choose to respond. He urged member states to adopt a coordinated strategy and hinted that countermeasures remain available if negotiations falter. The United Kingdom, meanwhile, adopted a more measured approach. British officials said they expect the country's privileged trading relationship with the United States to endure, while pledging support for domestic businesses as further details emerge. A pattern of pressure. For Europe, this episode is not unprecedented. Earlier in Trump's second term, the president threatened sweeping tariffs on several European nations amid disputes involving Greenland and broader trade reforms. Those threats were eventually softened after diplomatic pushback, but not before sparking widespread anxiety across the bloc. Last year, European officials also spent months engaged in trade talks with Washington as Trump sought to reshape global commerce through aggressive tariff policies. At the height of these tensions, European leaders floated the possibility of deploying the bloc's Anti-Coercion Instrument, an economic defense mechanism sometimes referred to as the EU's trade bazooka. The policy would allow Brussels to impose sweeping restrictions on U.S. goods and services if it deemed American actions coercive. This time, however, Europeans' response appears more restrained. Tim Bale, a politics professor at Queen Mary University of London, suggested the muted reaction may be deliberate. European leaders may be waiting to see how Trump's fallback strategy unfolds before responding forcefully, Bale said. Premature retaliation, he noted, could invite additional consequences, particularly at a time when Europe still seeks U.S. alignment on Ukraine. There is also concern that Trump, frustrated by the Supreme Court ruling, could escalate his posture in other areas of foreign policy. What the Supreme Court ruling means. The High Court's decision invalidated most of the country-by-country tariffs that had defined Trump's earlier trade approach. However, certain sector-specific duties, including tariffs on automobiles, auto parts, and semiconductors, remain intact. The shift to a universal tariff structure alters the impact on key trading partners. Countries such as Mexico, Canada, and China are expected to face lower overall rates compared with previous targeted measures. Other major economies, including India and Brazil, could also see reductions.
Yet the broader implications extend beyond the specific percentages. David Lubin, a senior fellow at the London-based think tank Chatham House, said the episode could shape perceptions of U.S. governance globally. To the extent that this makes American policymaking appear chaotic, China benefits, he said. But it can also be viewed as a demonstration of institutional strength, a reminder that the rule of law still matters. In that sense, the Supreme Court's intervention may simultaneously project instability and resilience. China visit looms. Trade tensions are likely to feature prominently when Trump travels to Beijing at the end of March for talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Despite the rhetoric, analysts believe neither Washington nor Beijing wants to provoke fresh disruption ahead of the meeting. There seems to be a mutual understanding not to destabilize the relationship before the visit, Lubin noted. For now, European governments appear to be watching carefully, wary of triggering a new round of retaliation while hoping for clarity from Washington. But if recent months are any guide, clarity may remain elusive. As one European diplomat privately observed, the only constant in Trump's trade policy has been its unpredictability. And for markets, manufacturers, and governments alike, unpredictability remains the most destabilizing tariff of all.